Hey guys, it's Miss V again. So I'm going to show you a couple of different techniques for blending, shading, and highlighting various types of lines. The colors I'm going to be working with today are right here. I've decided to stay with more of a blue theme. So we have a blue-green, we have a true blue, and we have an indigo blue, which I love because if you're not aware, if you haven't used Prismacolors before, indigo blue is the best for doing shadows. It's much better than black. Black tends to kind of flatten everything out, which we want to avoid if we're trying to make things look 3D. So blue indigo is great. Now, if you're working with Crayolas, that's fine. We can go ahead and use Crayolas in that situation. And if you have to use black, that's okay. But if you're trying to make something look really 3D, and if you have access to Prismacolors, blue indigo is definitely the best shading color to use. Today I do have my white with me, so that should be helpful. So we're going to go ahead and get started. There's a couple of simple ways to do this. The first is to just take one main color and one shadow color and kind of stick with that. So in that situation, what we're going to do is I'm going to start with a line. I'm going to take my main color, in this case it's true blue, and I'm going to lightly color that entire line. Here we go. Then if I want to give it just a little bit of a shaded effect or just fulfill my my blending requirement for this assignment, I'm going to take my shadow color. In this situation it's going to be indigo blue, or you could use black or a different color, whatever color is darker than your main color. We're going to go in and I'm just going to put my shadow more towards the edges. And what we want to do is we want to press a little bit harder as we get down here, and then we want to start slowly and lightly lightening the pressure that we're putting on the pencil until we're going as light as we possibly can, and we can barely see the dark at all near the center. Okay, we want to stay away from that. What I like to avoid is this, because I see a lot of my students doing stuff like that. That does not look blended. That just looks like an outline. So we want to make sure that we kind of fill that in. And again, we want to start going closer towards the center. And the closer that we get, the lighter we want to take that blue. Okay? And if we see little areas like maybe right here and right here where it looks a bit like there's a line or an edge that's not quite smooth, we want to go back in very lightly and just go over that area until it looks like it's blended all the way through. Okay, so that's the second step. The third step, and the one that everybody tends to forget about, is to actually take your main color and go back in. We want to take our main color and go over the area we just shaded, right? Because the goal is not to make it look like blue and then a dark blue. We want it to look like one color that's faded from a dark blue into the light blue. Now there's different colors that you can choose for this. Like you can see with this example right here, it's obviously not as dark. This is actually more of a violet that I use for the shadow. This one we're using the blue indigo, so it gives it a little bit more of an intense appearance, but either one is fine. And we just want to make sure we go back especially and press harder along the edge so that that's nice and blended. Okay? Now, that's okay, and a lot of people would just leave it like that. I'm not really a fan of that. I can still see, you know, the paper a little bit, and that's one of just my pet peeves. So I always like to take a white and just kind of go over that and take it down. Now, you don't want to take this white all the way into the edges where you had your shadows, because then you're just making your shadows lighter, and it starts to look a little sloppy. But you just want to give it a little bit of something so that it gives that appearance of, okay, it's a little bit more 3D in appearance, right? Okay, great. So that's one example. So that was a three-step process, right? We had our main color, we lightly colored the area, then we took our shadows into whatever area we want our shadows to be. In this situation, I put it along the edges. Then we took our main color, went back over, and you could have left it like that, or you could take it a step further like we did and used our white in the light area, the highlight area of that of that strip. For this one with the shaded area, and this is something I'm going to use right now for my students that like a little bit more of a glowy appearance. Excuse me while I rotate because I am left-handed and I just like to work from the right angle. So what you're going to do for this is I'm going to actually use this nice kind of blue-green color, and then I'm going to use yellow as my highlight, and again I'm going to be using blue indigo as my shadow. Okay, so we still have our three colors, and this is how we're going to use them. So we take that blue-green, and just like we did with the other example, we're going to lightly go in and color the area. Now in this case, because our highlight color is so much more extreme, okay, than just the white, I would advise really pressing as lightly as you can wherever you want your highlight to be, and then starting to go a little bit darker as you move back towards the regular areas. So for me, I want it to be a little bit darker along the edges, and then as it comes up, we want to give that appearance of it actually reaching up off the page. So we're going to kind of press really lightly or just avoid this area right here altogether. So then I'm going to take my shadow color, right? I'm going to go into the edges. We're not going to do that little thing where you just outline it and then leave it. We're actually going to bring that color up, and we really want to give the effect like an optical illusion of this moving up, okay? Same thing over here. And just work our way up around towards the middle section. Then just like we did before, we're going to go back with our main color, which was that blue-green, and we are going to press hard and blend that blue-green into that dark shadow blue indigo color, okay? And the goal is to really coat it so that we don't see the white from the paper. And you're going to hear me say that a lot. Like, I don't want to see the white of your paper. I want it to be completely saturated with the color. So we're going to keep working our way closer and closer until it just blends into that little highlighted area that I said we wanted to stay away from. Then we're going to go in with our highlight color. In this situation, we're going to do more of the yellow, kind of like this one right here. And this, again, is for my students that really enjoy that glowy look. I know a lot of my kids love the look of like Houston graffiti art, all kinds of things. So we want to try to just add that little bit. It's a little more fun than just using white, because white can just get very boring. Then if you want just to blend it a little bit more smoothly, you can take your white, go back over. You don't have to do all these extra steps, but I like it because I'm a little bit more of a perfectionist. I like everything to look really smooth and just perfect. And there we go. Okay, and now we have kind of a glow up. So these are just some simple ways that you can show me a little bit of that shading, blending of colors, and a little bit of areas where maybe you have some highlights. I really want to see that in your portfolios, so let's make sure that this is included. Thanks.